Attempting to assault you? Come on down. You're trying to look like an underscore in front of the courthouse, you know? Stop me. Yes, come on, let's turn the corner. Come on, let's turn the corner. Hurt me. Hurry up. Come on, thrash you. Around. Like the hideous of your mother. Like the hideous of your mother. The same thing. All right, observe. Yes. All right. We may put her to the test immediately. Now, horrible. Everything. Everything? Oh. You were wrong to expect to see some nasty underscore. However, you weren't. However, you weren't. However, you weren't. The same is true here. See what's going on? Same is true here. See what's going on? Oh, I see. Hold on to your wigs, ladies and gentlemen, because the courtroom not only heated up, but also descended into complete anarchy. Have you ever witnessed a rapper sob uncontrollably as their man stands up to them? Yes, it just took place. Now it's the self-described Bronx bombshell, Remy Ma, who is pleading for forgiveness. And from her own husband, Papoose, rather than the judge. Just now, the man who formerly supported her through label flops and jail bids entered the witness box. Let's just say that loyalty departed. Ha! But hold on, it gets worse. We're talking about security pulling people out, screaming bouts in the corridor. And Remy just plain passing out in a fit of wrath. And who watched everything unfold as if it were a front row ticket at Summer Jam? That would be Jasmine Dior. Like, where's your regret, miss? Where's your sorriness, for example? Where's your sorrow? I mean, I don't really care what I go through with no one in the end. I would never wish for somebody to pass away. I'm not concerned about any off that. For example, underscore no one did anything to you. You're acting like you're upset about something and you underscore gremlin. Ice earring someone's unsightly behind. In front of a courthouse, you then act tough or going to jail, like underscore. You've served time in prison. You probably don't want to return, underscore like, why are we here? Approach the corner. In reality, you're not underscore tough. For example, is insane. The accused murder victim of Ree's son's daughter. What were the secrets that Papoose disclosed? Why was Remy heard mumbling, I knew this day would come? And why is it that many are speculating that her family may not be the only ones affected by this trial? Get your popcorn, darling. It's not a trial. It is a takedown, and it is only beginning. So, bang. Remy Ma believed she was entering a courtroom as a proud ride-or-die mother standing behind her son. However, what did she enter? Oh, that was a ready-made broadcast meltdown. Because jaws dropped more forcefully than Ree's latest mixtape when that judge called Papoose to the stand and he really stood up. Not to mention that this is the same man who restrained her during her 6-year prison sentence. The same man who supported her through her darkest moments, wrote love poetry, and paid her regular visits. He is currently providing testimony on behalf of the prosecution. When Remy's name was spoken, you could hear his soul departing her body. She blinked. Wait, him. Was said again, and that's when things started to go wrong. The level of security increased. The cameras angled closer. Journalists began scrawling as if it were TMZ meets the police. The final betrayal plot twist that no one had planned was the picture of Papoose, motionless and expressionless, making his way to that witness box. Or did they? Let's go back. Here's the tea in case you arrive late to the mess. Jason J., the son of Remy Ma. Scott is presently on trial for the alleged shooting death of Darius Gilbo, a parent, businessman, and one who, according to reports, knew far too much. In 2021, the purported murder occurred in Queens. However, the case only recently blew up. Why? Because some anonymous video footage, GPS pings, phone records, and fresh digital proof all appeared out of nowhere. Can you guess who assisted the DA in obtaining those files? Yes, that section. In the corridors of the courthouse, rumors circulate that Papoose had been quietly working for months, disclosing location information, verifying chronologies. and even providing details on behavioral patterns that prosecutors say demonstrate Remy's involvement in the crime's cover-up. We'll let you determine if that's factual or simply some spicy legal fiction. Let's be honest, though. Isn't it betrayal on a whole other level if your spouse, who is more familiar with your calendar than you are, starts sharing it with individuals who are attempting to lock up your child? The courtroom was full. Influencers, journalists, and former high school rivals who only wished to see her fail. Everyone was present at one point. Even Fat Joe poked his head in, but he bounced back when it became too cluttered. You could feel the temperature change as soon as Papoose raised his hand to swear in. Remy's expression went blank, as if her internal playlist had been turned off. She mouthed some murmurs. Why? The victim's daughter, Jasmine Dior, was seated in the front row, glaring down at Remy like she was the antagonist in a Tyler Perry finale, so she was unable to finish. Let's not overlook the identity of Jasmine Dior. Since the beginning, she has been outspoken, sending cryptic messages, criticizing corporate cover-ups, and pushing for her father to be given justice. However, she brought fire today. Papoose smirked, lifted her chin, and took out a notepad as soon as she began talking. Rumor has it that she wasn't merely there to watch. She was anticipating the meltdown, and it came cold. Papoose's tone was cool and collected as he opened his testimony. It's just facts, no feelings. Or what he referred to as facts. Yes. When Jace returned home that evening, I was at home. Indeed, the argument earlier that day was something that Reminisce knew about. Yes, I told them both to keep silent until legal assistance could be obtained. Hold on, what? The magistrate bent forward. Because of what Papoose had just said on the record, which implicated her in obstruction of justice, the DA grinned. And Remy let out a loud scream as if reality had finally hit her in the chest. Not merely poor parenting, not merely a front for her son, but outright manipulation. The atmosphere escalated when the judge signaled for stillness. Despite her attempts to get up and mutter something to her attorney, across the courtroom she reportedly mouthed, "You promised me." He simply looked down and continued speaking without flinching. The actual dagger then appeared. According to Papoose, Remy Ma allegedly paid $20,000 to an unidentified person who was connected to the Gilbo case a week after the murder. Hush. Money, diversion money, and damage control money are implied. The suggestion hung in the air like cheap perfume, but no one stated it directly. The whole courtroom went crazy as Jasmine Dior abruptly got up and yelled, "Tell them about the burner phone, Papoose." Security sprang into action. People let out a shout, as if they were machine guns. Cameras clicked. And she didn't move, Remy. As if she had just seen a ghost, she sat motionless, her eyes wide open and her hands clenched. At that point, the court declared a recess. People rushed out to phone their editors, reporters sprinted. And Remy Ma fell back in her seat, unable to breathe, was unable to cry, simply sat there inconsolable. The drama didn't end there, though. Oh no, the corridor became a battlefield. Jasmine Dior made sure to follow Remy Ma as she was led out by security. According to witnesses, Jasmine screamed, "Your husband is stealing your inheritance after your son took my father. This isn't over. You think this is justice? Watch what happens next," Remy said in a chilling whisper as she spun around. Just when we thought things couldn't get any messier. One of the reporters, possibly from an online gossip blog, captured audio of Remy on the phone shortly after she stepped outside, screaming, "Tell my lawyer to pull every email, every message. If he desires, he's got war." The question of who she is referring to, Papoose, the DA, or someone higher up's the million-dollar question because, according to rumors, this whole situation goes beyond a simple betrayal of family. There are rumors of underground connections, sealed records, and payments made to industry executives. Some people believe that this trial could be the start of a much larger takedown that could completely upend the hip-hop industry. An unmarked black SUV with tinted windows and no license plates pulled up outside the courthouse. A tall man in a gray suit got out, and Remy Ma recognized him right away. She stopped in the middle of her sentence, her face went white. And she got into the car and drove away without saying anything. Now the internet is going crazy as fans wonder who the man is and why she left so quickly, and more significantly, the moment she changed sides. Imagine this: Remy Ma, just after being ambushed by her own husband in court, breaks down emotionally, then gets into a black SUV driven by a man she obviously knows. She disappears from the public eye for more than 5 hours. No one knows where she went, and there are no phone calls, Instagram stories, or even a vague tweet. There is radio silence until a few hours later, when a leaked audio recording that was purportedly taken from inside that Remy Ma is heard saying, "He's not going to ruin me," in a very SUV video shot by an unidentified driver who, let's face, it was most likely bought off by someone with far too much time and not enough morals. Not after all that I had concealed for him. The internet went into full meltdown mode when she said, "Now, who exactly is he?" Some claim she was referring to Papoose, while others say it was a direct reference to her son Jace and the Tinfoil Hat Group. Oh, they believe she meant an exact related to a label issue back in 2020. But if you thought Papoose's testimony was betraying his trust, wait until you hear what he discovered. It is said that the night after the murder, Papoose borrowed Remy's laptop to send a verse to a producer. But instead of finding a beat folder, he discovered a zip file called PRVT_evidence_J. Curiosity destroyed the trust as it contained audio, messages, screenshots, and what appeared to be transaction logs, possibly pertaining to hush payments made to a woman who was allegedly an eyewitness that night in Queens. What's even more bizarre is that one of those messages was titled, "Tell Jace to keep quiet." Now, I know what you're thinking. Is any of this confirmed? Of course not. That's the beauty of leaked info. But the blogs went into overdrive. The phrase PRVT_evidence_J trended harder than any of Ree's singles this decade. Meanwhile, back at the courthouse, Jasmine Dior wasn't letting up. She hit live on Instagram standing in front of a huge crowd of supporters and said, "This is bigger than my dad. I can assure you that they attempted to buy my silence, but they were unable to do so. This is about the truth. Mike fell, and she took out what she said was the burner phone, the same one she had yelled at in Courtroom. Lo and behold, it had voicemails. One of them was chilling, a distorted voice from Remy Ma, who was wearing gloves, saying they couldn't link it back. 2J's viewers were shaken. The comment section turned into a battleground, and several supporters began attacking Remy, claiming this isn't the woman we rode for during that jail bid. But remember, Papoose hasn't denied a single leak yet. In fact, according to one courthouse aide who spoke to a gossip blog under a false identity, Papoose gave the DA a backup drive 2 weeks ago. Others claimed it was all a setup, that Remy was being framed, that the phone was planted, and that Jasmine Dior was being used. In the meantime, Nicki Minaj posted a vague statement on Twitter that read, "I pray for all involved." Some wounds don't heal. Is that hip-hop code for she messed up bad? Fans sure took it that way. Yeah, a backup drive labeled Rem for you. That's either a breakup gift or a digital dagger. You decide. The story wasn't finished yet though, because later that same evening, 3 prominent hip-hop news pages received an enigmatic Dropbox link that included a blurry security camera clip from a gas station dated the night of the murder, showing a car that matches the one Jace was allegedly driving. Yes, the same Nicki who once traded barbs with Remy posted a single unicorn emoji with a scale emoji. There was no caption, no context, just shade, parked next to a black SUV that was registered to Papoose. Here's where things get complicated. Did Papoose see the murder or, worse, assist them in escaping? A voice on the tape replies, "Tell your pops to turn the dash cam off." Yes, just a few minutes before the gunshots that murdered Darius Gilbo were reported. At 11:47 p.m., Papooses halo began to fade. In any case, Remy isn't just angry, she's ready to scorch earth. According to another insider who claims to have worked PR for Rhea's team back in 2019. She is preparing a sealed countersuit against Papoose and the city, citing entrapment, tampered evidence, and yes, emotional manipulation, whatever that means. Don't think she's suffering alone. Some believe he flipped to save himself, while others think he was trying to clean up his own mess before the feds arrived. One label executive even revealed that Love and Remy, a reality spin-off series in the works, is on indefinite pause due to legal sensitivities. But it gets worse. Just before the courthouse closed for the evening, a huge delivery van arrived. And out came a representative from a luxury florist with a massive bouquet for Jasmine Dior. The card for your strength, Anonymous. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the envelope in the courtroom. According to sources, Remy Ma's lawyer discreetly gave a sealed envelope to the judge's clerk, while everyone was preoccupied with testimony and screaming matches. What was inside? No one knows, but a court sketch artist claims to have seen that words for your eyes only printed in red on the front, trauma check, intrigue, double check, caused the judge, the DA, and Rhea's defense team to hold an emergency conference call. No audio or notes were permitted inside, and cameras were prohibited. However, following the meeting, all additional witness testimony was postponed for 48 hours. As if things couldn't get any wilder, a former Remy producer emerged from the shadows with a mysterious video claiming I was with her the night before the murder. She continued talking about loose ends and was in a frenzy. It was only now that I understood what she meant. Does heckle out chasing? Definitely. It's the internet taking advantage of it anyhow. You already know. Public pressure is now growing. Protesters have shown up outside the courthouse calling for justice for Darius Gilbo, while Remy fans, or the Remy Hive, have begun trending #FreeRemyMa again. While one side cries for justice, the other cries for setup. What about Jace? Man at the center of it all has not yet spoken. The next day is the last testimony session before pre-verdict deliberations start. And the prosecution just subpoenaed Rhea's private therapist because, allegedly, someone told them that Remy confessed to failing to prevent a violent act. This is true. It's not just bad optics. It's legal dynamite. There have been no interviews, leaked footage, or jail notes, just silence. Some claim he's making a deal, while others claim he's being protected. But until he speaks or breaks, the guessing game goes on. The public is divided. Remy Ma's entire life has fallen apart faster than a lace front in a downpour. Her son is facing prison time. Her husband has flipped on her. And now the prosecution has subpoenaed her private therapist. It's serious when therapy sessions go from healing trauma to being used as evidence, according to court insiders, who say the therapist was called in to confirm whether Remy Ma ever expressed knowledge of the murder beforehand, or worse, if she confessed to planning a cover-up. Jasmine Dior, who had the energy of someone who had been doubted for too long and finally had the last laugh, was there, locked in, taking notes like a federal agent in disguise. That one line reportedly turned a tearful confession into an indirect admission of guilt. I feel like I could have stopped it. I told Jace to stay calm. I didn't think it would go that far. Boom. The therapist's testimony was interrupted halfway through when a bailiff hurried in with a sealed document. The judge read it for about 15 seconds before reserving the court without warning or explanation. And then the rumors began to circulate. Two anonymous sources, who were likely interns without NDAs and using iPhones, claimed that the document was a wiretap transcript and the voice purportedly on that wire, Remy Ma, unmistakable. The transcript purportedly contained a conversation between Remy and an unidentified male voice. It was thought to be an industry fixer connected to several payoffs. Remy is heard saying if they press him too hard, he'll fold. The feds had reportedly been monitoring her movements for months and had simply decided to play their last card. This must be buried before it reaches the courtroom. She didn't mention names, but she didn't have to because the public, blogs, and the courts had already made the connection. At that point, it then, as no one had anticipated. Papoose returned to the courtroom as a last rebuttal, not as a witness, and asked permission to make one more statement for the record. The room fell silent, and he stood up and finally showed emotion for the first time in the entire circus. His voice cracked. "I loved that woman more than life. I stood by her when nobody else would, but when I found out she used me to help hide. Things they hesitated, then said Jace isn't innocent, but he's not the only one who should be held accountable." Remy Ma got up, started to speak, and then broke down in tears. We're talking about a complete breakdown, with her body trembling, her knees weak, and lawyers all around her. The judge had to call a brief break to give her time to gather herself, but the cameras continued to record when the court resumed. Remy Ma's defense team pulled their last prank, claiming that the wiretap was unlawful and that it violated attorney-client privilege because it occurred during a discussion about legal strategy. However, the judge didn't buy it, denied the motion, and admitted the truth. The internet didn't stop scrolling. TikTok exploded with edits. And YouTube live-streamed fake legal experts breaking it down transcript into evidence. Boom! Meanwhile, outside the scene, there were protesters on both sides, fans holding signs that said Remy was innocent, others yelling for justice for Darius. And somewhere in the center, Jasmine Dior stood with her mother, holding a framed picture of her father. The internet held its breath as the defense leaned heavily into sympathy, saying, yes, mistakes were made, but show us one parent who wouldn't move heaven and earth to protect their child. Don't punish a mother's fear. This isn't just a case of a mother defending her son. This is a case of deliberate manipulation, bribery, and obstruction of justice orchestrated by someone who thought fame made her untouchable. The jury returned 3 hours later. After the fastest deliberation in the history of the courthouse, and everyone braced for impact as the 4 members stood up and read the verdict. J. Scott guilty on all counts. Remy gasped. People were glued. 2 live streams and subreddits were ablaze with conspiracy theories. Did the judge already make up his mind? Was this all a performance? Papoose closed his eyes and remained motionless as the courtroom erupted once more, but this time not in chaos or disbelief. Half of the room cheered, the other half sobbed, and Remy Ma collapsed once more. Just like on the first day, but this time it was over. The judge ordered her detained pending sentencing, and she screamed, "No, no. I was trying to protect my baby, but it didn't matter." The cuffs were removed. She went to Papoose and sobbed as they released her, saying, "You are supposed to love me through anything," even though her lawyers didn't contest it. "I didn't win today," Jasmine Dior said outside the courthouse after he failed to reply. "I lost my father, but at least now someone finally paid the price." No, there's still another twist just when you thought we were finished. That black SUV's driver, the same one in which Remy vanished, has since vanished into thin air. Turn off the phone, clean the apartment, and erase the security footage. Officials are describing it as odd. It's being referred to as suspicious. On social media, as if that wasn't crazy enough, late that evening, a burner voicemail appeared on a hip-hop podcast. Check the contracts. Follow the cash. "The real power doesn't stand trial," said a robotic voice before cutting off. "Y'all, what is even happening anymore? This was never about Jace." What do you think actually happened then? Was Remy Ma just a scared mother caught up in a maelstrom of treachery and poor decisions? Or was she the mastermind of a cover-up that went completely out of control? Did Papoose act morally, or did he sell her out to protect himself? What about Jasmine Dior? Is she finally receiving the justice her father deserved? Or is she being used as a pawn in a much larger game? One thing is certain, this trial has exposed the internet. Oh, isn't letting this one go. According to sources, there's still more to come. More footage, more leaks, and maybe, just maybe, more arrests. If you thought this was the end, you don't know. Remy Ma will be watching and will be spilling all the tea. It's much more than just a murder. It's revealed the inner workings of an industry that thrives on secrecy, secrets, and scandal. We've got eyes everywhere, and nobody is safe from the spill. Who do you think? Was justice truly served? Remember to like, subscribe,